Richard Warwick says, yeah, just don't mention remote ID. Man, Botgrinder really kicked off a frickin', didn't he? I'm going to give him credit, although I should probably give XJet credit as well. XJet, here's the difference though. XJet has been screaming about remote ID. He just sort of has constantly been doing it. Whereas Botgrinder dropped this video, which was like, just say no to remote ID or something like that. I don't remember the exact title. And then and in that video, he explicitly said people need to be making more content about this. And it seems like that had an effect because I've seen so many videos about remote ID in the last week or so. And I was like, well, you know, on some level, like I feel like, you know, I've made content about remote ID. And, you know, I've said the things that I feel like I have to say about it. And then, so then Botgrinder says, hey, people should be making content about remote ID. And then everybody starts making remote ID content. And the YouTuber in me is like, oh, I don't want to look like I'm like, don't care or I'm left out. You know, but on the other hand, I'm like, well, I mean, I feel like I've said the things I have to say. I don't want to look like I'm just jumping on the bandwagon for clicks. But I did get some interesting responses to my comments and we're not going to do another 45-minute remote ID rant for those of you who are like, oh my God, here he goes again. I did get some interesting responses to my comments on Botgrinder's video and on my 45-minute rant about remote ID, which also included a small rant about XJet. And some of the comments were like, what have you done? At least he's doing something. And I thought, my first thought was, what do you mean, what have I done? I've done plenty. And I actually wrote a comment where I like argued with this person, listing all of the things I've done to help fight remote ID. And then because there's a thing I've learned, and that is that you could be summed up by saying, don't whine at your customers. Okay? As a business, never whine at your customers. If your customer says, this product is too expensive, and you reply by going, yeah, but it costs a lot of money for me I have to rent the trucks and the employees need insurance and Those things are true. Your customer doesn't give a fuck. Your customer sees the value that they get for the product, and they see what you're asking them to pay, and they say, and so you could say, well, I understand. Okay, that's my price. I appreciate it if that's not, you know, a good deal for you and maybe we can't do business. But you never whine at your customers because that's not a way to win them over. You could try to convince them that there's more value. Maybe. I don't know. When it comes to YouTubers, your customers are your viewers. And I try, although I don't always succeed, to never whine at my viewers. When viewers say things critical of my videos, I can say, well, I don't agree, or I think you're wrong, or, you know, whatever. But don't whine at them and be like, it's hard to be a YouTuber, or whatever. It's just degrading. So to say, what do you mean what have I done about remote ID? I did so much. I put out these videos and I did this thing and either it's not going to convince you. Either you think that's enough or you don't. Whining about it's not going to change that. So I thought, if there is some number of people out there who think, what has Bardwell done about remote ID? Either they're just out of touch. No, the children are wrong. Right? Either they're just don't know and they're out of touch, or I need to do more because apparently I haven't done enough lately enough that people have noticed. So we'll see about that. That's all I have to say about that, I think. Never whine at your customers. Let's see. Blenty Did you queue any comments or questions specifically related to that before we move on?
Well, you asked not to go on a 45-minute rant. If I queue questions, you're going to go on a 45-minute rant. So we could do
that's
that.
fair. That's fair. All right.
Okay.
I am thinking about what content I can make about remote ID, because I did take it to heart. At first, I wanted to argue about all the things that I made. Okay, just between you and me, live stream. I made a feature-length documentary film. And the thrust of the film was FPV is awesome and you should love it, and remote ID threatens it. One of the major reasons I made that, and I say I paid money for James to go around the country and record interviews and edit the film. James made the film. I just put up the money. So I made the film, but I participated in making this film specifically because I wanted to get the word out about FPV being awesome and remote ID being a problem. I have almost 40 grand in this film, and trust me, I haven't made it back, and I don't care. But like the part of me that wants to whine and argue, when somebody says, "What have you done?" XJet is out there making videos and fighting the fight. I'm like, son of a bitch, I have like 40 grand in this film that I thought would, now it didn't work out that way. It didn't get on Netflix. And by the time it got on Amazon Prime, it was like 2 years after it really would have been helpful to have people fighting for us. So like, I'm not saying it was successful in stopping remote ID. I'm proud of it. It's a good film. Just how could, they must not know. And if they don't know, that means I need to do more. That's the takeaway. The Flow State film is on Amazon Prime. It finally got on Amazon Prime.